Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Under the Hood. We are doing our first in-person review, and we have a pretty special car with us today. All right, everyone, we have a special guest with us today. We have Andrew and his car, Brittany. Andrew, if you don't mind, just give me a couple of things about this car and why you decided to get a BRZ.
Yeah, so I got this about 5 years ago. I wanted something sporty and fun, but not ridiculously expensive. It's kind of a, as you called it, a sleeper build. It doesn't look like much up front, but I got a bunch of stuff done to it. I tracked the car. So a lot of modifications for track use to help with reliability and, of course, cornering and handling.
Perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself. So we're going to dive into some of the modifications Andrew's done to his car just to help him with his day-to-day track use as well as, I guess, daily driving, because you drive this every day, right?
Yeah, in the summer anyway.
Yeah. Fair enough. So we're going to get into the performance modifications he's done and how it affects his track handling. All right, so first things first, we're going to get into what you've done performance-wise. Tell me a little bit about each thing that you've done and how it improved on the track for you.
For sure. So as you know, it's not a super fast car to begin with. I tried to do what I could though to make it better. First thing I did, which is arguably in my opinion the best mod I've done to this car, which we actually can't see, is a stage 2 plus tune with an open flash tablet. It killed the torque dip. It really opens it up. It was the night and day difference with half an hour of work just from plugging something in. It was pretty amazing.
Right.
From there we have the cold air intake, and then I have a Borla unequal length header and a Borla catback exhaust to make it sound a bit better as well.
Okay. And that we heard as I pulled up. You were moving the car around. It sounds pretty good. We'll get an exhaust clip before he leaves today. So get a quick zoom in here of the Grimspeed air intake here, because that's a pretty cool closed box system, which a lot of companies don't like to do. That like to do the cone filters exposed, and I find you lose a lot of the power with that. Is that correct? Like,
yeah,
you know,
I don't know how much it does for power. It makes the intake sound cooler. And yeah, I like the closed system. It gives it a cleaner look. Kind of tidies up the engine bay a little bit.
Okay. And you mentioned there were some accessory bits that you added just to make the engine bay look a little nicer. Do you mind pointing those out for me?
For sure. So we got all these fluid caps, washer fluid, oil, brake fluid, and coolant. Yeah, they just tidy it up, make it look neater, and I think it helps the appearance a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. Now, did you also add these struts here as well?
Yeah, those were aftermarket as well.
Okay.
More just for ease of use, to not have to put a prop rod up every time you open the hood.
Okay.
Especially at the track, you have the hood open after pretty much every session to help cool things down, or if you have to check things or whatever. It definitely makes it a lot easier.
Okay, yeah, looks good. Now, you were just telling me a quick story about the battery. Would you mind sharing that?
For sure. So I have an Optima yellow top battery in there. This is the second one I've put in 2 years. No fault of the battery. I'm pretty pleased with that. It works well. But I had to put an alternator on the car last year, and I'm pretty sure that alternator took out the first battery. But thankfully, I was able to get it replaced under warranty, so it didn't cost me too much.
There you go. Now, do you have any sort of idea what power this car is pushing? Have you dynoed it?
I had it dynoed when it was stock before I had done anything to it.
Okay.
At that point, it was 170 at the wheels.
Okay.
I figure my goal was 200 wheel. I'm probably not quite there. I figure probably 190, 195, or like maybe 220, 230 crank.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be a lot more helpful on the track for sure.
For sure.
Now, was there anything that kind of stood out for you performance-wise when you took it to the track that you're like, wow, this made a huge difference?
Biggest thing I would say was tires. I've had 2 sets of tires that I've used on the track. The first ones were Continental Extreme Contact Sports.
Okay.
Loved those on the track. And now I've got Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's on there. They took some getting used to. I can't say I like them as much on the track, but they're way better on the street than the Continentals I had. But definitely tires are the biggest thing that I'd say would help or hurt the trackability of the vehicle.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Next, we're going to get into some of the smaller things you've done, like on the outside, like your wheel setup, what size tires you're running, and little bits and bobs here. So let's get into that.
Yeah.
You had mentioned there is some reliability stuff that you've added to this car because you track it and you kind of daily it in the summertime. So what have you done to make it slightly more reliable?
Yeah, so on the track, these cars have a big issue with oil temperatures. So biggest thing I did to help that was an aftermarket Jackson Racing oil cooler. And then Subaru engines in general, but especially the FA20 in this setup is notorious for oil blow-by. So we have the air oil separator help with that, which reroutes the oil back into the crankcase for reliability.
Fair enough. All right. Well, those definitely could help. I know I've heard a lot of the oil consumption issues with these cars, so sounds like you're taking care of it.
For sure, I'm trying to. I don't want to rebuild a motor if I don't have to. So trying to stay away from that if we can.
Fair enough. All right. We'll get next talk. So it looks like here you have a set of aftermarket wheels that are different than the OEM size, correct?
Correct, yeah. I wanted to go up to 18 inches. So I found an 18-inch wheel that I liked and then did some math online to figure out what size tire to get that was closest to the factory sized as I could get. So I currently have 245, 35, 18-inch Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. It's an Enki T6S wheel.
Awesome. Yeah, the gold and the blue is kind of a classic combo.
For sure. I had the blue car. I had to get the gold wheels to go with it.
Absolutely. Now, you did mention you had some brake upgrades as well. What have you done?
Yeah, so right now I'm just have my street pads, or just a generic pad from, I think, from Napa. But for the track use, I have Hawk HP Plus pads and upgraded brake fluid as well. Biggest issue I had the first season I was tracking the vehicle was brake fade. So between those two, it makes it feel like it's got a whole new brake system on there, but it's just pads and fluid.
Awesome. And you had mentioned as well there's a couple of chassis supports you have. Could you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so we've got front and rear tower braces, Grimspeed in the front and Cusco in the back. Not sure how much of a difference it makes, but it looks cool, and I feel like it does something.
Absolutely. I want to ask, what kind of inspired you into motorsport and track specifically?
So I started volunteering at the track before I even had a license. Before I had anything worth taking on the track, as a marshal. So working on a corner, flagging, sort of helping control the track. And then once I got something that was good to drive on the track. I just had to get into it. So this will be my third full year doing lapping and time attack.
Awesome. Well, it's good to hear you're enjoying it.
For sure, it's a lot of fun.
So it's been kind of something that's just been like a passion of yours since before you even got a car.
Yeah, exactly. I've been into it for probably going on close to 10 years now, and it's a blast. It's the most fun you can have in a car, and it's all legal too. You can go as fast as you want, and you can't get in trouble.
Guess that's the fun part about it. So, last question I have for you today: what are your plans for this car going forward?
Next thing I want to do is a set of coilovers. I haven't decided exactly which ones yet, but definitely need to do coilovers. And I want to get some aero modifications done as well. So a wing, probably a front splitter, and maybe some side skirts as well.
Awesome. Well, it kind of sounds like you have your route planned, all kind of track focused by the sounds of it.
For now, anyway, yeah.
That's good. Do you have any closing statements for our audience today?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for having me.
And hopefully we'll have you around again soon in the future.
For sure.